And how did you first find out about me?
It was recommended that I take a look at your YouTube um,
Okay.
shorts, and I did. Um, I had expressed an interest in getting better, um, getting better from mental issues, depression and anxiety, um, lots of phobias. So there was something about what you were saying. There was, the such positivity was one of the things that was very attractive to me. I feel like I've had enough negative in my life, and I needed to know that I would be plugging into more positive. So, and when I was listening to your shorts, you were just so upbeat and so positive, and it was attractive.
Now, let me ask you, the person that referred you to me, they, I guess, had seen my YouTube shorts. Was it like a friend, a healthcare provider?
Healthcare provider.
Oh, wow. I did not know this till now. I knew someone referred you to me. So another healthcare provider saw me on YouTube and was familiar with me and then referred you to reach out to me.
Yeah, I had been
Oh,
looking at some other things on YouTube, and I'm not especially experienced with YouTube, and had just in a place where I needed to make a change. I know I need to make a change. I'm making a change. That's the thing. I am making a change. And it was part of it was timing, part of it was serendipity. Um, I liked what I heard. Um, I'm a skeptical person, so I had to do research. My husband and I, after the introductory meeting and the VIP session, my husband and I did research and
but before we go there, can I ask you a couple questions? So,
sure.
okay, your healthcare provider knew of me, referred you to me. You started watching my shorts. And then from the shorts, did that lead you into doing the workshop? Was that it? Was the next step for
Yes,
you? Now, what made you say yes to the workshop, even before the 90-day program? Was
curiosity,
okay. Okay, nice.
plain and simple curiosity. I figured a free workshop, I could do that.
Okay.
But
And
then when
then
it came to the VIP part of it, it's like, hmm, do I really want to? I debated, do I really want to
okay.
spend the money for the VIP part? And it's like, okay, you're either all in or you're not. Um, if you're just going to get a taste of it and have more serious questions, the skeptical part of me is like, okay, the VIP section is where I would probably find out some answers if I
Yes.
things that I would have questions about. So it
And
was,
I'm very glad you leveled up to that VIP because not only did it include the digital and printable workbook, but we included a second session where you got to ask me your questions. And then we included in the VIP a private confidential consultation as well. So I'm
yes, we
so
did.
glad that you did the VIP because the free workshop is okay, but a lot of people need a deeper dive. So it's nice to have the digital and printable blueprint with the notes. It's nice to have the second session with the live Q&A where you get to ask me your questions immediately after the workshop while they're fresh in your head. And then it was nice to also get the private consultation. And so what made you level up to the VIP workshop? Was it you said you needed a deeper dive?
I felt like whatever it was that you were talking about,
Hmm.
I knew I was going to have questions and I needed to be able to ask the questions. I'm not somebody who just falls into something. I needed to be able to explain it to my husband. Um, and just some surface little bit of information is not going to convince my husband, who is also a skeptical person. And
Nice.
he's a doll, but he's skeptical.
That's okay. Now let me ask you a question. I'm glad that you're saying you're skeptical. And it's fine because you didn't really know me before this other than you were referred to me. So I have no problem with people being skeptic and research. So you said you and your husband decided to do some more research about me before you moved forward. What research did you do?
Well, we looked at the information that you provided, which was a really big help. You had references in there. You websites that you referenced and gave avenues for more investigation. It was not a long amount of
Okay,
investigation. It wasn't weeks or anything like that. It was just, you know, within a decent time frame, and there was enough there that to be able to make some decisions. Um,
nice.
Even though, you know, the course costs money,
Yeah.
products cost money, money that we could ill afford. Um, and my husband said, "This is a lot. What if it doesn't
Mm.
work?" And I said, "What if it does?"
Oh, that was genius. That was
Well,
genius.
no, the
It's
genius
true.
part is that it is working.
I'm
That's the
so
genius
glad,
part.
I want people, if they have a significant other, I want them to make an educated decision together and include the significant other. So I'm so glad that you included him in on this. I'm so glad that you guys researched into me and were open. And I love that question that you said to him, what if it does? Right? So many people are thinking, what if it doesn't work? And you thought, what if it does?
There's
Like,
a certain amount of desperation there. Um,
mhm,
you know, you ask a question during one of the sessions, what do I really want? What is something that I really, really want as a goal? And honestly, it took me several days to figure out what one thing is something that would be so attractive that it would make me change even a little bit. What would
okay.
make me change? And crazy enough, a concert by Nicotine Dolls, who's from New Jersey. And last year, my husband was going to take me to see Nicotine Dolls, and my agoraphobia, my fears, my anxiety, the depression stopped me. And I
Mm.
was devastated. And I could not go through that again. So there was a certain amount of desperation in
And
wanting to change.
yes, desire is huge. Desire more than your excuses and being ready. That is so important. And can you share with us, so you did the workshop, right? You leveled up to the VIP. You and I then, after the VIP live Q&A session, we had a private confidential consultation as well, right?
Yes, we
And
did.
and then you moved on to the 90-day program. Can you, whatever you feel comfortable with, can you share with us some of how you were before and some of how you are now that we're wrapping up the 90-day program?
I have spent the last 7, 8 years in deep depression and anxiety. I've been on so many meds, it's just unbelievable, and have gradually since last fall, basically been trying to work myself off of some of them. Just to the desperation of not being able to go anywhere or do anything um, has made me reevaluate so many things, but that pushed me into doing the research, following the course, joining the sessions with you, being open, which is unbelievable.
Getting out of your comfort zone, because it was the group
Seriously,
sessions as well that you're not used to.
seriously. I mean, I told you the other night, and it's true. I've spent more time talking to you
Oh,
since since May than I've spent speaking to my entire family in the past year. I've just been
oh,
so isolated. So um,
you're
opening up
changing.
to you has been a major deal. And you
Ah,
have
thank you. Thank
made
you,
me
thank you,
feel comfortable and
thank you.
have been positive and interested. And I so appreciate that.
You're most welcome. And I think it's important for people to know that even though throughout the 90-day your wellness journey, where I went on and we did a private consultation, me and you, we also had all of the lessons in there and the printable and digital work guides. But throughout the 90-day that I would get on about, I'd say about every other week on average, with the group answering, recapping the lessons and doing live Q&A sessions so that your questions did not stack up throughout the 90-day. But also for those watching that when people have personal questions, they don't want to ask me in the group. It comes with private consultations as well. And I think that was very handy for you, Anne, because then maybe there were certain things you didn't want to ask me in the group that now you have the private confidential consultations as well.
It made a huge difference being able to speak to you one-on-one. It really did.
Yay. And can you share with them? I never want anyone to suddenly stop any medication without the approval of their licensed healthcare pro or myself as their healthcare provider. But can you share with us? I know there was one med in particular that um, I guess after in the 90-day program, you were feeling better, and we discussed with between me and you and your healthcare provider about tapering you off one of the medicines and the change, if you've noticed any change the entire time you were on that medicine or after you tapered off. Can you enlighten us a little bit about that?
Um, one of the things I was taking was gabapentin, and it was dealing with depression and anxiety and insomnia, and which I have bad insomnia. But anyway, we had I had discussed, have been discussing with my therapist getting off of some of the meds, and that was one of the ones that we decided we would try. So she
Yay.
tapered me off, and since the beginning of this journey with Shayna, and the crazy thing is it didn't, after being on it for years, I haven't noticed any difference, which I've been taking this drug that scrambles my brain, or honestly, I feel like it scrambles my brain, but that's probably not true. But anyway,
No, I'm sure
uh,
it does a
it
little bit.
just, it just, it didn't make any difference. I mean, to
Yes.
be on a med for so long and it not make any difference, to be on it or off of it, it's like, why?
And I gotta say, your story is not rare at all. I used to work in pain management years ago, and every single, I'd say 99.9% of my patients that were on it for pain or mood altering, they kept going on by their doctors, higher and higher and higher and higher doses, and never noticed any difference. And when I had tapered them all off, they didn't notice a difference. So I can't say you're alone at all. I don't even know why we ever use that drug. I have never seen it create a significant impact positively in anyone's life, ever. Like I haven't. Um, so I want you to know you're not alone in that journey. It's just sad that you were on it for years because the doctors tell you, hey, it's gonna help you or help you not get worse. And then, but I'm glad we're able to take you off one less med through your kidneys, your liver, and all that other stuff. And what else have you noticed? What would you say if there's another older woman out there that's maybe she's not used to online classes, and how like maybe it wasn't comfortable for you in the beginning, or what would you say to
Well,
somebody
none
that's
of it
not
was
used to
comfortable for me in the beginning. I've been isolated for so long. I mean, literally, the only place that I would go is to my doctor, and my husband had to practically drag me to go to every doctor appointment. So the idea of talking to anybody, I'm still not willing to be seen on
Mm.
Zoom. I still have that degree of wanting
Yeah,
the invisibility. I know I could buy a camera to attach to my computer, but I'm not ready for that. And I know that. And I'm not pushing myself on
yeah.
that until I'm ready. So opening up was a major deal.
Hmm. That
Major
was,
deal.
I remember trying to get you on the Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
But
Didn't want to do
then,
it.
yes, but then after a couple of weeks, when we were doing the group meetings every other week, you would get on every single time. You were like the first to unmute, ask a question, give a comment. So you're coming around. You made a lot more progress than I think you give yourself credit for. I mean, yeah,
I have opened up, and
yeah,
it feels really strange. I'm trying not to get freaked out about it and just let myself enjoy what I can enjoy at this point.
yes,
I've There are changes. I mean, even simple things that I've noticed in myself. I mean, it's not simple to me to feel like my brain is clearer, like I'm
yeah,
thinking better. Something really simple. My hair's not falling out like it was before.
yeah.
I mean, just I mean, you don't want to go out and have your hair be a mess, and
Yes.
to
And
not,
you seem happier too.
I think I am, which is it's hard to even say that I'm feeling happier. It's kind of like I don't want to jinx it. It's been
Oh,
so many
I can hear
years.
the difference in your voice from when we first spoke before the workshop to now. And it is night and day. It is, yes. It is positive now. It is upbeat. It is bright, like you're looking forward to the future and the less to come.
Really strange place to be after so long. And I've told people for years that, that depression is like looking through a black veil. It's not that,
Mm,
when the depression is gone, it's not that your circumstances have changed. It's just that you're not looking through the veil anymore. You're looking at the same circumstances, but you don't have that shadow over you.
nice.
And I feel like the shadow's lifting.
Yay! I see such a huge difference. I mean, I don't want to disclose what you've told me, but I see a huge difference in you. So what would you say if someone's like, they see a little bit about me and they're like, I don't really know her yet. If they're in the situation where you are, they're like, hey, maybe I'll take the workshop, maybe I won't. Or they're hesitant on doing the workshop or the VIP or the 90-day your wellness journey. What advice would you have? I'm glad that you had to desire this. You had to be willing and coachable. You had to get out of your comfort zone. And what advice would you give to someone that might be contemplating doing the workshop or the VIP or the 90-day program?
Well, first of all, I think, the workshop is a given. I mean, at this point, you're not charging, even though you probably should. But
Yes, I should.
you
They
know,
should
the
jump on board quick before I start charging for it.
it's definitely a lot of information. God knows there's so much information that you have.
Mm,
It's almost overwhelming, how much
mm.
there is to think about. But that was one of the reasons why I encouraged I just coerced him into like, please join me on this. I need your viewpoint on this because
I'm glad you guys did it together. I really am, because then you can be accountability buddies and help each other.
yeah, yes, we can. And we are.
And there is a lot of information, but I think that I broke down. Oh, what did you tell me the other day? When, okay, there is a lot of information, guys, in your wellness 90-day journey, but it is broken down in categories. And you were telling me something the other day about how well that you were surprised I coordinated the slides with the workbook and the talk to all go in the same exact order. What were you saying about that the other day?
Oh, it's like the workbook and everything reads the same way you talk. There's so much information. You do jump from this to that to the other, and I have to just pick out where that you are on the slide. But that's okay because it keeps me engaged.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yes.
a normal slide where you've got this bullet and that bullet and that bullet and that bullet, and you read it in 5 seconds and then you wait for somebody to talk for another 20 minutes. And it's not like that because you have to pay attention because there's just so much information, and the enthusiasm is there.
Yes, and I think what was good is I purposely, throughout the what I call the 90-day program, because everyone should get through most of it in the 90 days where they're already starting to feel better. But I think that throughout the 30 videos where people can watch them 24/7, if you can't sleep at 2 a.m., you can pop in a video, you can listen hands-free, you can put it on half speed because I do talk quick. You could put it on double speed. And I really put my heart and soul in coordinating those modules. These slides match perfectly with your workbooks so that you guys don't have to take a lot of notes. The workbooks are digital, but I also made them very printer friendly where I took almost all the color out that you can follow in with your digital or printed notebook where you don't have to take a lot of the notes. You could just write in a couple little things. So I purposely coordinated them exactly the same. The talks that I gave with the videos and the workbook so that you can follow page for page in the workbook without being too lost. But you're right. I did give a lot of information. I'm not gonna lie.
It
Now, I
is.
think, yeah, I think the beauty of it is we all started at different points because like some of the other members, like you might have somebody wanted to start with the autoimmune section, someone else wanted to start with the food section, food pharmacy, someone else wanted to start with the mindset. I think you might have wanted to start with the mindset section, and then one of the other fellow NPs wanted to start with the biohacking basics session. So I think we were all at different points, but whatever area you needed most work on is where I encouraged you to start. So I think the beauty of it was that every other week when I gave the recap, like, and say you wanted more information about food pharmacy, right? So I made that a couple of the group Q&A sessions about them. Um,
One of the things that appeal to me is that you do come from the different directions. You know, I'm a novice, absolute novice when it comes to medical issues. My husband handles all the drugs and the everything. You know, he tells me what to do because I
mm,
just am overwhelmed by the whole concept of medical stuff. So total novice here. But you also set it up so that people who are medical professionals get something out of it. It's like you cover
yes.
a really broad spectrum without being unclear.
Thank you.
Everything you've made it, you know, it's like being able to ask a question is really great because every time I've asked a question, you've been able
Yes.
to hook me up with the right answer. I mean, just
Ah,
something that made
thank you, thank
sense.
you, thank you for appreciating that because in the 90-day program there was people like you that might not have medical background, but we also had nurses and nurse practitioners that wanted extra, wanted the more medical terminology. So I had to appease all of you in different ways, and I think I did a great job of giving you the layman's term and giving them the more medical terminology that they wanted. So I think it worked out very well.
I think so. I think so.
Yay.
It does
And what
appeal.
what I liked about it is I've been in high ticket programs before where there was no Q&A sessions at all. And a lot of them have one question and answer session where you have to email your question ahead of time and then hope they picked your question and hope you're available for the Q&A. And how I did it for those that are listening now is throughout our 90 days, about every other week, we got on and recapped a couple of lessons and had live Q&A every other week throughout the 90 days. And this program for you guys was even more than that because we started this session in June. So we had June, July, August, September, it was a solid well over 90 days, I'd say. And then can you tell us, share with us some of the befores and afters? Like, like what is this? Did I hear you went to a restaurant?
I did. I even suggested it. You know, it was with the agoraphobia and the germophobia, fear of dogs, just so many fears. Um, but wanting to change, I suggested that we go to a restaurant. And one of my favorite restaurants is the Old Spaghetti Factory, which is, I live in Washington State. Old Spaghetti Factory that's closest to me is in Canada. Uh, so I suggested that we take a little trip into Canada and go to the Old Spaghetti Factory. Uh, Unfortunately, when we got there, it was jam packed, and the fears really kicked in. I could not bear the thought of going in there with all those people. I just couldn't deal with it. So we drove around, and we found my husband found an Indian restaurant, and it was relatively empty. It was a good time of day. Um, Great food. It was quiet enough that I wasn't overwhelmed, even though I was really anxious. But it was the first time I've suggested going anywhere in years. So it was a huge, huge deal. And part of that was, this upcoming concert this fall in October, the Nicotine Dolls, going to be in Canada. And I knew that if I if I waited until it was time to go to the Nicotine Dolls concert, I might not go. I just couldn't bear being so devastated this year as I was last
Oh,
year. So
you're gonna go. I've seen so much huge progress throughout your 90 days. Like, wow.
I'm going to go to that concert, and I'm willing to do what it takes to be able to do this one thing. It's a huge thing for me.
That
I'm
is
willing to
awesome.
do this one thing.
And
I'm going.
you are going. I know you're going. I
I'm
love that
going.
you're not saying, I'm gonna try. You said, I'm going. I
I'm
know you're
going.
going. I love that you had to want this. Your excuses had to be less, your desire had to be more than your excuses, that you're willing, you're coachable, that you went out of your comfort zone to get on the Zooms, to learn how to take online classes, how to access the manuals and the videos and all of that. And I love that you consulted with your husband and that you guys did this together, that your healthcare provider recommended this program for you. I love that we were able to taper you off of one of your medicines with your licensed healthcare provider in your state. And I love that you're not feeling any worse off that medicine and probably feeling better. I mean, that is so awesome. And wow, 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 wow. What else would you like to say, Anne? Anything?
Oh, I don't know. I'm glad I did it, Shayna.
Yeah, I am so glad that you did this too. I am so happy for you. And what would you say to somebody that's like on the fence? They're like, well, I don't know about this, or what would you say to them?
If they don't know about this and they're not willing to find out about this, if they're not
Mm,
willing to look do the workshop, if they're not willing to do the VIP, they're not willing. You know,
mm,
it's on them. But if they're willing to make some changes, um, be prepared to make some changes. Um,
yay.
because this is not a, one and done. I'm going to tell you one time and you're done.
Yeah,
I'm not printing out something for you to look at and I'm done. That's not how you
yeah.
operate. Um, but
Nice.
they have to be willing.
Yes. And were the videos for people that don't know, were the videos easy to follow along like with the workbook and what I said and everything?
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
videos were good. I keep planning to do a glossary for you for all these medical terms, but it's honestly been putting the medical terms together in a document and sending it to you, the
That's
things that I have
okay.
questions about. It's like one of these overwhelming tasks, and one of these days I'll actually do that for you.
No worries,
Um,
just no. I just asked that when you guys do module, when you're in the module, write down your questions at that time. This way, when we go to the next group Q&A, that you can ask them, so it doesn't, you're not like, oh wait, what did I think about 5 modules ago? What was my question?
but that was
So
the mistake I made. I didn't write it down
that's
as I
okay,
was
but
going through.
that's a good piece of advice for me to give the next generation that jump on your Wellness 90-day program.
Yeah,
That, hey, write down your questions in the moment so then we can address them on the next group Q&A. This was, and I think you could inspire so many people that are like you were in the beginning, like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. Where do I begin? My problems have been so many years and I don't know where to begin. I guess it's safe to say you just have to take a step, right? And just get out of your comfort zone and take the leap of faith.
it was for me a step, a tiny step. It wasn't a major, overwhelming, change your life, do or die kind of step. It was like a single step. Yes, I was committing money to it, but I wasn't going to have to deal with some big medical surgery or something. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? There's degrees of things that you're willing to risk. Um, yes, we risk money that we don't necessarily have, but my husband will tell you right now that my mental attitude
Mhm.
is worth every penny.
Definitely, definitely. And I'll say this, in one of my recent workshops, I actually asked people, how much did you spend on your last vacation with airfare, hotel, food, entertainment? And what I realized was they all spent more on their last vacation than I was charging for my 90-day program. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not charging enough. And then there was someone else, one of the other NPs that jumped on the 90-day. Um, she was telling, I said, what made you jump so quickly? And she goes, well, I was looking at other programs out there and they were a lot more money. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so not charging enough. um, Wow. Wow. This was great. And I have seen such a change in you. I mean, I don't want to disclose it all here, but I have seen a huge change with you. I hear the tone in your voice is positive and looking for that brighter tomorrow. Where initially I wasn't hearing that tone of voice from you. It's two totally different tones of voice. And
It's totally different. I mean, even something simple as my weight. I mean, I've lost 12 pounds in,
yay.
in 3.5 months, which doesn't sound like an enormous amount, but for me, it was an
That's
enormous
huge.
amount.
Well,
I
that
mean,
is
just sit
huge, especially since
something.
if you kept gaining and gaining, and now you're like, whoa, not gaining and losing. Like, that's
Yeah,
huge.
I had gained a good bit of weight, and it was nice to be able to lose weight. I mean, that's just one of the things that's different
What else is
for
different?
me.
What
Just
about the
one.
activity?
Do what?
Activity level.
My activity level?
Yeah.
I am exercising, which is something that I had not been doing for many years. I had not been doing. I mean, total slug state, um, very, very weak, very not fit at all, breathless, just walking around in the house, just breathless. Um, so
Building stamina. So I think that's huge. Mindset changed. You are worthy, you are deserving. You're starting to exercise, which means you have more stamina now because I think the other day you said you were rebounding for a half hour, right? Like
I
that's
did.
showing you're building stamina that you
I,
had not had, you know?
my husband caught me today standing in front of the stove while something cooked, um, bouncing up and down in front of the stove just to be moving a little bit, and he, like, looked at me kind of funny, but it
Yes,
was
and
funny.
going out to the restaurant and off of medication, like this is huge, and this is just the beginning for you.
I feel like it's just the beginning.
Yeah. All right, I think this was great. I think you're going to inspire the next generation of your Wellness 90-day program, and I think this was great, and you know, it's so there's so much in the 90-day, but I hope that I was able to take a lot of the overwhelm out. Instead of you need to know all of this, like, hey, you know what, this week we're gonna look over this and this, and then in 2 weeks we're gonna look over this and this. So I think I could take a lot of the overwhelm out because there is so much that people need to know, but I think I broke it into baby steps somewhat, to take out some of the overwhelm from it.
It's so funny, whenever on the very first session where you had just the small group
Mhm.
session, um, the thing that I thought I really wanted the most information about was the food pharmacy. I thought I really needed that part of it.
Okay.
But over time, I realized that the part that was most important was the mental part of it, the mental attitude part of it. Um,
Yes.
and, you know, breaking it down into the sections that you broke it down into has made a difference. Being able to go back and look at these things time and again has made a difference. Listening to you on these weekly calls and the group sessions, and uh, I hear you say the same thing multiple times, but it's kind of like at different times I've needed to
You
hear
needed it.
that same
Yes.
thing because today this particular thing that I've heard before really hit me, and it's
Yes.
just that being able to not not hear it just once, but be able to hear it multiple
Yes.
times, and being able to get things as I need them. You know,
Yes. I think repetition is important to the extent that, like, sometimes I'll say, you are worthy, you are deserving, and it might not click the first time or two. And then when I say it the third time, you're like, oh, wow, I am worthy, I am
and that's exactly
deserving.
what happened. You said multiple times, What is
It's
something that
intentional,
you really want to do? And the first few times I heard it, there wasn't anything I really wanted to do. I was just in such a state that I couldn't imagine something that I wanted to do.
You were in
And
survival mode, but now that you're out of survival mode, you can get into more of the leisure, the luxury.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's great. I'm glad that you realized that the repetition is purposeful at times because you might see it in one of the mindset modules, the videos, you might see the pre-recorded lesson, and then I'm recapping it live and then I'm asking questions on it. So it's reinforcing it because we don't just learn from hearing something once, right? When you were little, did you hear your ABCs once and then have them memorized? No, you probably heard them like 200 times, right?
if you said exactly the same thing, exactly the same way every time, but it's not, you're constantly evolving, and we get the results of you evolving as you say these things again. We get
Thank
the
you.
extra little bits.
And I hope that you guys realize that not only have I helped myself through the autoimmune and lots of my clients, not only do I have the healthcare experience, but I was also the patient. So I also look at it from where I was suffering and what could best help you when I was in that point. So I tried to look at it from every single angle whatsoever. And I know the first thing I had to work on is my mindset. And that's why in the workshop and the 90-day program, I start with mindset because a lot of times, especially the women and the fellow nurses and caregivers and moms and wives, we put our needs last. And that's why it's important. And I do emphasize you are worthy, you are deserving. And you got to sometimes treat yourself as good as your bestie. And a lot of times we don't do that. I was guilty of that. I was running an emergency room during the pandemic with a fraction of the staff while I was in heart failure. And that's what made me realize, whoa, I'm helping everyone here. How the heck do I get health care? You know? So that was an eye opener for me where I had to first realize I am worthy, I am deserving, I have to prioritize my health. And that's why I help you guys. I'm coming from the viewpoint where I was where you are, and I know what helped me, and now I'm trying to offer the same tools to you guys.
That that concept is very familiar to me as a recovering alcoholic and addict. I listen to people who have been where I was, and
Yes.
it is vital to do that.
Yes, it's almost like, there's a lot of doctors telling the autoimmune people how to get better, but they've never been there, so they can't really relate. They're just knowing what they learned in a textbook. But it's true because even like an alcoholic that had been through it, done it, is now mentoring someone else with their alcohol problem. And I feel like I can best relate to people with autoimmune because I suffered from it and I was there and I was in their shoes. So who better to explain to them how to get to where I am than somebody who's already been there, you
That was
know?
one of the deciding factors for me, the fact that you had been through it.
Nice. I was just going to ask you that question next because there are other programs out there, and I was going to ask you what made you choose my program over perhaps some of the others.
I had looked at a couple others on YouTube. I mean, that seemed to be my source of information. But anyway, I had looked at a couple other programs and they focused a lot on the food part of it. Um, and while they did cover, you know, some of the broader stuff, yours was more comprehensive. You really did go into, the causes of autoimmune. You really did go into the mindset, how the food could heal you. I mean, you went into all these different areas that the others, while they're valuable, and I have read some of their stuff and listened to some of their stuff, it didn't speak to me the way yours did. I'm sorry.
Nice. I'm glad you brought up a valid point because we did go into a lot of mindset. You are worthy, you are deserving, how to boost confidence, how to get rid of toxic, negative, poisonous people. It was very comprehensive. I have to say, we did go into autoimmune basics, signs, symptoms, what tests to go for, We did go into environmental triggers that are causing your flare-ups, what foods we're eating that are causing flare-ups, what drinks. And then we also went into, if we know certain foods make us feel worse, there's other foods that can help us feel better. And how can we eat more of those good foods? Instead of saying, stay away from these 100 things, instead of this, do that. Like I called quick, easy swap outs, right? Instead of the candy, have the fruit with the nuts or something like that. And we went into what are your deficit in, how to replenish it, and everything from gut health to gut, brain, heart, deficits, root causes, free radicals, oxidative stress, cellular inflammation, toxins, how to activate genes and genetic highways, right? What else? A lot.
It's just staggering how much information there is. And you're right. There's so much that it's easy to get overwhelmed,
Mm.
but the the thing that keeps it from being overwhelming is your personal touch.
Oh, thank you.
Being on the calls, with the group, being willing to answer the questions, you know, seriously, I've spent more time with you talking to you
Oh,
in just a few months than I've
for
spent
now.
talking to my entire family for the past year.
That's just for now though. Things are gonna change soon.
Yes, things will change. Things will change. I will be talking to my family more. I sent
Yay.
my brother an email. First personal email I've sent in over 5 years. My brother got married on the 20th, 2 days ago, and I sent him an email congratulating him, telling him that I'm sorry that I couldn't be there,
Oh,
but that I love him and I wish the best for
oh,
him. And that email, first one, personal one I've sent in over 5 years. So that's a difference. That's a change.
wow. All right. This was awesome. I am so glad. And we're coming upon graduation for the 90-day program. You guys are gonna get your certificates soon.
That works.
Yay! And then who knows? Maybe you'll mentor the next generation. Maybe you guys will inspire and motivate and help transform others to at least be the bridge. Because a lot of times you guys might know of other people that are suffering who could really benefit, and you can connect them to the course and stuff, maybe help inspire and motivate them and mentor to the next level. There's so much more to be done than and I'm glad that I was able to take the overwhelm out. I'm glad I helped you see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm glad I helped you get out to the restaurant and taper off for med and reconnect with your brother. There's so many good things here. And your future is bright. This is only the beginning. And is there anything else that we left out that we should say? I don't know.
I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm about talked out.
Yeah. Well, Anne, I thank you very, very, very much. I look forward to your graduation and giving you your certificate coming up at the graduation.
I'm looking forward to it too.
Yay! I thank you very, very much. And I want to encourage for those that are going to watch this to please join our next live Reclaim Your Life super workshop. All you have to do is decide if you want a no-cost seat or a VIP and reserve your seat now because I am limiting the number of seats at worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim and claim your seat while you still can. There are no cost in VIPs. The VIPs takes you to a whole new level where you get digital and printable workbook, a second session for live Q&A, and a third session for a private consultation, all for the price of what you would spend on a lunch. I don't know if I'll ever offer it again at that lower price point, so I'd say get it now while you can or do the freebie. So
I
I
just want to
think,
jump in
yeah.
here and say, if you're going to go for the workshop, do the VIP. It was worth it.
Oh, thank you. It so was. I mean, listen, people spend more than $47 for a copay at the doctor where they get 2 minutes of answers. Where for this VIP, you got an extra 60 minutes in a group session to ask me all of your questions and get answers in real time, and a mini consultation, private, confidential with me. That alone is normally $600, just so people know. So I thank you, Anne, from the bottom of my heart to inspire the next generation and for opening up and really, letting us in. And I encourage you guys to go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim and claim your seat for the next super workshop. And like Anne says, we encourage you to level up to the VIP because you'll get a much, much, much deeper dive. I thank you, Anne, very, very, very much.
I thank you, Shana.
You're welcome.